Well, I'm just outside of Quebec City with the all-new Terrain from GMC. Now, here's an interesting stat. You probably don't know, and I didn't know until today. The fastest growing non-premium brand in Canada is GMC. Truck sales are red hot, and they don't even have an all-new compact utility until today. This Terrain is all new, front to back, from the wheels to the roof. It has every component is changed for the better. And one of the things that General Motors has been doing religiously through their entire model line is shaving weight, adding new technology not only under the hood, but in the dash, and they're being rewarded with very strong sales. This product is about 2 inches longer, it's a ½ inch narrower, and about a ½ inch lower than the previous model, but on the inside, the footprint remains the same for passengers, for cargo and comfort. And when I saw this truck for the very first time at the Detroit Auto Show, I was absolutely floored that this is a GMC. The light treatment, especially around the back, looks a little bit like Volvo. The headlight treatment looks upscale, the sculpted lines. It's a very nice looking utility, because the reality is all of them are kind of the same shape. It all comes down to the details. Wheel sizes in this vehicle range on standard 17 all the way to 19 on this Denali trim. You have LED daytime running lights and standard LED tail lights. You have the option to get the kick power rear tailgate, which is now common in many vehicles. But it's small details, the way the roof line integrates into the rear pillar there, the glass wraps around. It's very sophisticated and upscale. And that's where they're moving GMC. They want to differentiate between Chevrolet, which is the real mainline brand, and GMC, that just slightly more premium offering. So let's have a look inside, where General Motors does a great job with in-dash technology. There's all new stuff at play inside the new Terrain. Now, if you want, you can go back and look at the reviews I've done of General Motors cars over the last few years. And I think one of the highlights and what they're doing really well, and it's starting to show in terms of sales, is the fact that their user interface is so simple and easy to use. This Terrain gets the very latest infotainment 3.0. And one of the major advantages is it now has what's called a USB-C connection. Where Apple has the Thunderbolt, this enables Android users to have a similar kind of experience. So there's two USBs in the front. One of them is USB-C. There's two in the center here and two in the back. Now, you notice also the screen is quite large. It goes from 7 inches on the base model. The middle and upper trim get 8-inch units. It comes standard with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is a kind of a must these days. And brands that don't have that, I think, are going to suffer a little bit. Now, this system is configurable. You can set up 5 different people to have their own profile inside the head unit. And as soon as you get into the car, you hit your user. It has your favorite radio stations, the way you like the screen configured. And it has a swipe feature. You can pinch and zoom just the way you would with your iPhone. Plus, you can piggyback that operating system onto the screen. So that's all the latest stuff. On top of that, you get a 4G LTE connection, so people can use that if they want to connect to the internet. Plus, you have OnStar, which General Motors is known for. There's another screen behind the steering wheel. So in-dash technology is very good. Now, speaking of the dash generally, another strong point of General Motors and GMC is large and easy to use buttons and switches. Even with gloves on in the winter, you'd be able to use this dashboard no problem. And you notice below the heat controls, for example, there's now a push button transmission. Now, I'm not a huge fan of these. However, I will concede that after a short period of time, the owner of this vehicle would adapt quite quickly. We have to the rotary dial from FCA, push button we've seen from other brands, and now it's here in GMC. And what it does is it opens up a little bit more real estate down in the center console to include something like wireless charging. You slide your phone into the center and it charges as you go. So you have to have a phone that has that enabled. Now, even though on the outside this new Terrain is slightly smaller, it still has all the functionality of the old model. So you've got roomy back seats that flip and fold. In fact, this front seat folds down as well, and lots of cargo space. So I think what they've done so far on the level of fit and finish in here is as good as anybody else in the business. Okay, we're going to put this in drive. You toggle the switch, and that is going to take a while to get used to, but it is true. The owner of this vehicle would get used to it. Now, you notice to the right of that, there's a plus and minus by the low setting. That's how you manually change the gears. There's no paddle shifters, and that to me seems a little bit awkward. But I guess they've done their research and found that people that buy vehicles like this, they're not looking to change their own gears. However, there isn't a sport button either. And it could use it because this vehicle feels rather sporty. So what has General Motors done right over the last few years? They've made their vehicles right size, they've shed weight, and they've improved their in-dash technology, as I showed you, and also available engine choices. So now the base engine is a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's got good output, it's got 170 horsepower and 201 pound-feet of torque, and it too has a new 9-speed automatic transmission. Now the one I'm driving right now is the 2-liter turbocharged unit in the Denali. It's basically that engine's available on the middle and upper trim, and it has 252 horsepower, so a lot of jump, but 260 pound-feet of torque, and it too has a 9-speed automatic transmission. But the one that's got my interest piqued is now in this product, just like the Equinox over at Chevrolet. They have a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel. It has only 137 horsepower, but we all know it's all about torque with diesel, 240 pound-feet. It's the fuel economy champ of the 3 engines, and it uses only a 6-speed automatic transmission. It's available with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It's capable of some pretty incredible fuel economy. 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 6 liters on the highway. Now the diesel isn't as refined as the other gasoline engines inside the cabin. You can certainly hear it at work, especially on and off the throttle at lower speeds. However, at cruising speeds, it's not that noticeable. And plus, once the radio is on, you would hardly notice. This is the compromise. To get incredible fuel economy, you have to put up with a slightly louder interior cabin experience. Now here's something that's interesting. Even though this is an all-new vehicle, 3 available engines, all the new in-dash tech, has standard equipment, it comes with a lower starting price than the outgoing model, even though it has more content. Now here's the thing, they don't have a value leader. That's been left to the Chevrolet brand. The base model starts at roughly $30,000. That's front-wheel drive, and if you want to get all-wheel drive, it goes to $32,500. Now, if you want to change from that 1.5-liter engine to either get the 2-liter or the diesel, that's $37,000, and the top model that you see here is $41,000, but it's got everything in it that you could ever want. So GMC is trying to move away from the Chevrolet brand with a slightly different offering, more standard features, a little bit more upscale, especially when you get the Denali. On styling, I think this is a home run, and it's really nice to see that General Motors is continuing with their strong sales because it's products like this that prove they can make a great vehicle.